Welcome to Science Easy Tech channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about brain and behavior, neurotransmitters, muscles, connectors, neurons and synapse. These topics were taken from Unit 2. This is my part 3 video. Already I have posted Unit 1 videos and in Unit 2 you have part 1 and part 2 which have been posted earlier. If you have not watched those videos, I have given the link in description box, suggested end card and iCard. You can watch it, or you can watch our channel playlist Psychology for BSc Nursing students. Before moving on to the topic, if you are new to Science Easy Tech channel, just take a moment to subscribe our channel and also to press the notification bell icon in order to get connected with our latest updates. Let's move on to the contents what we are going to discuss in this video. Brain and behavior. Under this we are going to deal with nervous system, neurons and synapse. Nervous system will be dealt separately in my next video. Under nervous system itself you have neurons and all, neurotransmitters and all. No, that will be discussed in this video. So brain and behavior, nervous system, neurons and synapse. So the entire behavior of a human being is controlled and managed by your nervous system, that is your brain. Mainly your brain is determining your behavior. Whatever the behavior you are going to show, both internally and externally, it is going to get influenced by your brain. So the proper growth and development of brain is necessary. So the brain structure, function, everything is necessary in order to have an intellectual development which is going to influence your behavior. Any defect in the spinal cord or the brain will be affecting your intellectual growth. So your intelligence is going to be determined by the proper development of the brain as well as the spinal cord. The emotional behavior is also influenced by your nervous system. For example, anger, fear and other emotional changes are going to affect your nervous system. During these emotional outbursts like anger and all, no, your hormones will be secreted. Okay, your hormones will be secreted and this is going to indirectly or directly it is going to affect your individual behavior. Okay. So the process of growth and development, personality is also influenced by your nervous system. Your growth and development, your nervous system is influencing your growth and development as well as your personality. An individual personality is also determined by the nervous system functioning and development. The nervous system is composed of organs, particularly the brain, spinal cord, nerves and ganglia. So these are all which is going to control your behavior. Mainly the brain, next to the spinal cord as well as the nerves and the ganglia. The blood supply to the nerves, everything is going to influence the functioning of your body as well as it leads to your behavior. Human behavior. Human behavior, it is going to involve the body-mind interaction. So the most important are the sense organs. The sense organs are the receptors because through the sense organs only you are perceiving or you are receiving the information. This information is interpreted by your brain and based on that you are taking your action or behavior. Suppose when you are seeing a vehicle is approaching very close to you, immediately what your eyes are seeing it and immediately you are perceiving it as a danger and immediately you are escaping from that area or you are moving out of from that area. So the sense organs are called your receptors. If your sense organs are seeing and perceived by the brain means immediately the muscles and the endocrine glands, they will be acting accordingly. So I told a vehicle is approaching you, your vision, your sense organ has seen it and they are giving horn. So your ears are also hearing it. So immediately after seeing it you are perceiving the danger. So immediately your muscles should be strong enough to run away from that situation and immediately your endocrine glands, the epinephrine, norepinephrine and all will be secreting. So to fight or flight reaction will be taking place. So the muscles and endocrine glands are called your effectors. So the nervous system will be connecting or integrating mechanism. So the nervous system will be acting as a connecting or integrating mechanism. So your sense organs, the nerves will be going to the brain, and from the brain, no, it is sending signals to the muscles as well as the endocrine glands in order to act accordingly. So your nervous system is a connection between these two things. Okay, so the most important thing which is responsible for human behavior or the sense organs, mainly called the receptors, the muscles and endocrine glands called effectors, and the nervous system known as the connecting or integrating mechanism. So the receptors, the psychology of sensation. So here behavior is determined by how you are perceiving the senses. Any stimuli will be entering into your body through your sense organs. So this when the stimuli has been entered into your body through the sense organs, the various sensory experiences will be perceived by our brain. Okay, the stimuli in the form of various sensory experiences are received by our various sensory systems like eyes, skin, ears, like that and all. So these are all called as receptors. So external receptors are those sensory mechanisms which help us to see and perceive the external environment. For example, your eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin. Eyes through eyes, vision. Ears, hearing. Nose, smell. Tongue is what for taste, and skin is for touch, pressure, feeling hot or cold, everything, pain sensation, everything comes. So the specific receptor cells are present in the sense organs, in the eyes, in the nose, in the tongue, in the skin, okay, in the ears, everywhere you will be having the specific special sensory receptor cells are placed in the sense organs. So the sense organs will be consisting of receptors. So these will have sensory nerve fiber endings. So these receptors are stimulated by objects outside the body and are called also by internal conditions. So, the sensory receptors are stimulated by objects outside the body as well as in the internal conditions inside the body. When the receptors are not functioning properly, they lead to various defects or disorders with regard to visual, auditory, cutaneous means skin, olfactory means smell, gustatory means taste, and kinesthetic means movement disorders. For example, ear is responsible for balance. If there is going to be any disturbance in the ear, it may lead to dizziness or imbalanced gait, etc. Internal receptors. Internal receptors are associated with the internal stimuli which are present in our body. These internal receptors are responsible for feelings of pain sensation, hunger sensation, feeling of nausea, everything. Another variety of the internal receptors which help us in maintaining balance, bodily posture and equilibrium, and also exercise control over the muscles. I don't know your internal receptors. For example, in the ear you have internal receptors which is responsible for your balance. So the internal receptors are associated with internal stimuli which is present inside our body, which is responsible for feelings like nausea, pain, hunger, etc. So these internal receptors helps in maintaining balance as well as body posture, how you are maintaining your position, as well as equilibrium or balance, as well as how you are able to have exercise, and how you are going to have your muscle control, everything. Sensation. Vision, hearing, taste, smell and touch are called five senses. Vision, hearing, taste, smell and touch are called five senses. The functioning of the five senses is called as sensation. Sensations are purely the result of physical stimuli operating on our nervous system. Any physical stimuli, it can be suppose any colors or any sounds or anything has bitiness, like that and all. Okay, so these are purely result of the physical stimuli which will be acting on the nervous system. So sensory experiences. Each sensory system is a kind of channel consisting of sensitive element. So the nerve fibers connect these receptors to the brain or spinal cord. Okay, so the nerve fibers are connecting the sensory receptors with that of the brain or spinal cord. So when a sensory channel is stimulated, we have a sensation that is a characteristic of that channel. For example, if you are going to eat any sweets, so you are perceiving the taste as sweetness. So This is by means of the nerve receptors which are going to stimulate it, which are going to give you the feeling of taste. So for instance, where the eye is stimulated by light or by pressure on the eyeball, if the eye is going to be stimulated by light or any pressure on the eyeball, so we will be having visual experiences. In order to know about the world around us, this physical energy must be converted into an activity within the nervous system. So the process of converting the physical energy, that is the light what you have seen through your eyes, no, so that is converted into some activity by within the nervous system. So this process is called transduction. Okay, so by means of vision you are seeing the light by means of eyes. So this internally this will be processed. This physical energy will be converted into an activity. So that process which is taking place in the nervous system is called as what? Yes, it is called as transduction. So transduction occurs in the receptor cells. During the transduction process, the receptor cells convert physical energy into electrical voltage. So the physical energy is converted into what? Is converted into your electrical voltage or potential, which is called the receptor potential. So this is called as what potential? Receptor potential. During transduction process, the physical energy is converted into electric voltage or potential, which is called as receptor potential. So in some sensory systems, the receptor potential itself directly triggers the nerve impulses that travel to the brain or the spinal cord. In other sensory systems, the receptor potential leads to further electrical events which in turn trigger nerve impulses. This is known as general potential. See, in some sensory systems, the receptor potential itself will be acting directly on the nervous system or like brain or spinal cord. But in some other receptor potentials, the receptor potential will be triggering some other electrical events, and this will be in turn triggering the nerve impulses. So this is called as generator potential. So for any event in the environment, we need thousands of nerve impulses will be generated and it will be acting on the nervous system. Since these impulses travel along many different nerve fibers, so the impulses will be traveling along many different nerve fibers so that the sensory experiences or event will be taking place. Okay, so there are many nerve impulses are acting for producing a sensory experiences of an event. So the schematic representation of the sensory experiences are the physical energy. By means of transduction, it will be producing receptor potentials. Sometimes receptor potential itself directly will be stimulating the nerve impulse. But sometimes these receptor potentials again it will be forming generator potentials, which I have explained earlier, and leading to nerve impulses. So pattern of nerve activity in the nervous system which leads to sensations. Pattern of nerve activity in the nervous system is there are so many nerves or nerve impulses are acting in order to produce the particular type of sensation. So the physical energy, transduction at receptor, then receptor potential which leads to generator potential which leads to nerve impulses, and pattern of nerve activity in the nervous system, sensation. Instead of writing that paragraph, you can write this schematic representation which simply and clearly explains the thing whatever has been discussed in the previous paragraphs. So sometimes our sensation are not accurate because our sense organs or parts of the nervous complexes which produce sensation are abnormal, sick or injured. When you are sick or injured, sometimes you may have sometimes even the small amount of light, the person will be having photophobia. Sometimes because of peripheral neuropathy, your nerves are not functioning properly. Suppose if you are giving some hot application or cold application, the person may not be able to tell whether it is too hot or too cold because of the depression of the nervous system. So while this happens, the information we receive is inaccurate and our responses become abnormal. So nursing implications of sensory process. The nurse should always be alert that sometimes due to the illness or any sickness, the person may have malfunctioning of sense organs. A sick person reacts to colors. There are some colors which are soothing, but some colors, even the soothing colors, sometimes during sickness it becomes what? Unpleasant. During illness, even moderate lighting also may irritate the client. Suppose think that you are having fever. So that time what we will say, don't put off light, because that even the normal light also will will give to irritation for you, and you will have photophobia like that and all in some conditions. For patients who need rest and sleep, lights can be subdued. They may not like light or minimal lighting they need. For stimulation and encouragement, if you want to stimulate, if you want to encourage, you have to provide well ventilation. Warm bright lights can be used. An aging patient may need a great deal of help than younger patients in order to see visual details, because they may have some visual disturbances. A sick person is very much averse to loud noises. Any sick person, no, even a small amount of noise, no, it will be exaggerated and they will be getting irritated very soon. So the noise may increase the patient's irritability. So the nurse should provide a calm and conducive environment, avoid loud noises in the ward. Patients with hearing loss require special effort by the nurse to be sure when the instructions are given clearly. You can use both non-verbal as well as verbal cues in order to make the patient understand. Then patients with loss of skin sensation require special attention to prevent further injuries to the skin. So while treating or using treatments or applications of any kind, bandages, adhesive tapes, plaster casts, heat or cold applications, I already told, no, because of decreased sensation they may not be able to tell correctly. Suppose you have put the bandage too tightly, means also again it restricts the circulation. Too loose if you are putting also, it will not serve the purpose. So you have to put it very firmly. So wrinkled linens, everything may be irritating the patient. So you have to be very careful when you are handling the patient with some sensory deficits. Gentle skincare is necessary to prevent irritation. Patient always should be handled gently and softly and smoothly to avoid pain and discomfort. In healthcare environment means where? Yes, in hospitals, the possible sources of bad odors are your body eliminations like your urine, your feces, your sweat, everything. Then treatment procedures, the procedures what you are going to dressing, everything. Then dressings, drainage and medications, and these must be controlled as much as possible by proper ventilation and prompt disposal of waste. So you have to provide a calm, pleasant environment, free from bad odor, free from noises, free from excess lighting, everything. So the environment should be kept always neat and tidy, and immediately you have to dispose the waste, and any bad odor, any smell, you have to be treated immediately. So a sick person may not like his food. So taste also, no, the person will not have lack of taste, or the person will be telling that his tongue is bitter, like that and all. So you have to provide the food which is very clean and fresh in an appetizing way. Those who have dizziness, they should not walk alone. So suddenly the person can go in for a fall, accidents, injury can occur. So you have to assist the patient and you have to check the BP, everything. So rough, fast and jerky movements, so you should not do it, because already they are very weak and debilitated, they are in an irritated state. So if you are going to handle the patient very fastly or roughly, it may cause further discomfort or irritation. Patient should always be handled very gently as well as smoothly to avoid discomfort. The nurse can use her knowledge concerning the sense organs for her sense training, so that sensory organs may be trained for observations concerning the functions. Next is effectors. So effectors, till this time we have seen the receptors. Now we will see the effectors, that is the muscular and glandular functioning. So the effectors are termed as the organ of responses. So once your sense organs have seen something, it is perceived by the brain, and the immediate action will be taken by your muscles as well as your glands, as I have told earlier. What is received through the sense organs is perceived, and the action will be taking place either by means of your muscles or glands, which exhibit as your behavior. So the underactivity or overactivity of the glands, the endocrine glands, exocrine glands and all that, no, or a deficiency of hormone will be affecting your functioning of the individual, the entire personality of the individual, or the makeup of the individual, everything. Okay, the personality makeup of the individual or the personality endowment of the individual will be affected by either overactivity of the hormones or underactivity of the hormones. For example, hypothyroidism or any deficiency in the vitamins. Okay, everything is going to affect your thing. Muscles. Our behavior and activity involves movement of different parts of our body. So the movement will be taken place by means of muscles. So muscles, you have smooth muscles, cardiac muscles and skeletal muscles. Smooth muscles. What are smooth muscles? Smooth muscles are primarily concerned with what? Digestion, absorption, excretion, blood circulation. So their contraction and relaxation will be very much important for the dilatation of blood vessels, that is vasodilatation, and constriction of the blood vessels, vasoconstriction. So the dilatation of blood vessels leads to increasing or decreasing in blood pressure. So the constriction or dilatation will be leading to either increase in blood pressure or decrease in blood pressure. So smooth muscles means mainly it is involving in digestion, excretion, absorption and circulation. Cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are very important for rhythmic functioning of the heart. Suppose if the cardiac muscles are not functioning, it may result in what? It may result in heart problems. Skeletal muscles or striped muscles are responsible for voluntary motor activities like walking, running, moving, all your psychomotor skills like typing, jogging, everything is controlled by your skeletal muscles. Next, moving on to glands, we are having two types of glands. What are the two types of glands which are involved in human behavior are duct glands and ductless glands or endocrine glands. Ductless glands is otherwise called as endocrine glands. So these glands are helping in digestion, elimination, then production of hormones, everything. So the duct glands, what are the duct glands? Release their chemical reaction through their ducts or tubes. For example, the salivary glands secrete saliva, gastric glands secrete gastric juice, sweat glands secrete sweat, lacrimal glands secrete tears, kidneys will be secreting urine, your sex glands will be secreting some secretions. Okay, so these are all duct glands. What are the duct glands? It can be either overactive or underactive depending on your emotions, whether you are happy or sad or anger, everything controls your duct gland secretions also. Suppose if you are too much or having stress and all, no, your gastric secretions will be more leading to peptic ulcer like that and all. So which is going to influence your behavior or emotions. Ductless or endocrine glands, which are very very important because they release chemical substances called hormones. This hormonal level should be maintained pakka. Either underactivity is also a problem or overactivity is also a problem. Okay, so they affect the development of the body, general metabolism, mental development, development of secondary sexual characteristic and emotional behavior. So you have so many endocrine glands, the pituitary gland which is otherwise called as master gland, then thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas. Pancreas is both an endocrine gland as well as exocrine gland. Then male sex glands or gonads. So the functioning of all the endocrine glands or ductless glands will be affecting your growth as well as development as well as personality. I told underactivity is also a problem, overactivity is also a problem. For example, hypoactivity of pituitary gland, hyperactivity of pituitary gland, hypothyroidism, Addison's disease, Cushing syndrome and all, no, due to adrenal gland deficiency or excess like that and all is going to be a problem. Next, a slight imbalance of the hormones can cause unusual restlessness, anxiety and weakness of the person. Our personal strength, thinking and reasoning, everything depends on the normal functioning of the glands. See the major glands what are present: hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, the positions parathyroid gland and thyroid gland in the neck, thymus gland which is present in children. In later stages it will not perform. So children's the main immunity they are deriving from thymus gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, ovary, then testes, everything. Next is connectors. Connectors are adjusters helping in regulation, controlling or coordinating the activities of receptors and effectors. I told receptors, okay, then effectors. These both are connected and coordinated by means of connectors. So the ability to play a piano, to drive a car, to hit a ball, to hit a tennis ball depends on your muscle coordination. So if you want to play a piano, so you should have muscle coordination. So if you are not having this muscle coordination, you may not be able to even drink a glass of water. So the messages are passed through specialized cells called neurons. So neurons are playing a very important role in all these things. A nerve cell with all its branches is called as neuron. These are the basic elements of the nervous system. A neuron will be having a nucleus, a cell body and a cell membrane. So the structural and functional unit of nervous system is called neurons. Of a nerve is called neuron. So the neuron will be having a nucleus, a cell body, a cell membrane. Okay, there are many tiny fibers in the neurons. So this is called as what? Dendrites. The tiny fibers are called as dendrites. So the role of dendrites is to release the electrical impulses and to from the sense organs or adjacent neurons and carry them to the nervous system, brain, okay, cell body. So the message from the cell body further travel the length of a nerve fiber known as the axon. So first what I have told, the dendrites, what it is, it is traveling the electrical impulses to the cell body, and from the cell body the impulses are traveled through the length of the nerve fiber by means of the axon, and from the axon, okay, a group of axons bundled together to form like an electrical cable, it is referred to as nerve. Okay, so first what I have told, from the dendrites the impulses will be traveling through the axon, and from axon a bundle of nerve fibers, the information will be traveled, that is called as a nerve. So the axon, but not certainly all of them, will be covered by a myelin sheath. All axons will not be covered by myelin sheath, but some axons will be covered by a fatty covering called myelin sheath. It serves to increase the velocity with which the electrical impulse travel through the axons. The electrical impulses will be traveling through these axons. There are three types of neurons. What are those three types of neurons? Yes, they are sensory neurons, motor neurons, interneurons, or associated neurons. What are the sensory neurons? They help in sensation and perception. Motor neurons, motor means self-activity. They help in what? Physical movements and activation of glands. Next is interneurons or associated neurons. So they carry signals in the form of either memory, thought, and add reflex or automatic activities. Okay, sensory neurons, sensation and perception. Motor neurons, physical movements and activation of glands. Interneurons are associated neurons. So reflex action, sometimes the spinal cord itself will be taking a decision because already some memory cells will be there and thoughts will be there. For example, some fire. Okay, some fire, already we know that fire will be hurting us. So suppose if you have touched a fire, suddenly by means of reflex action, immediately you will be taking the thing. So till the brain perceives, till that receives the information, that till that time also you will not wait. Within a fraction of second, by means of reflex action, you will be taking your finger away from it. So this is related to interneurons or associated neurons. Nerve impulse. Neurons are the receivers and transmitters of messages. So the messages are always in the form of electrochemical impulses. So the messages will be in the form of chemical as well as electrical impulses. That is called as electrochemical impulses. So the neurons only, they receive as well as they transmit the information. They receive the impulse and they transmit the information. So these are called as what? Electrochemical impulses. A neuron in its resisting position is supposed to maintain a sort of electrical equilibrium. So a neuron is responsible for maintaining a electrical equilibrium. All the nervous system, the neurons, axons, dendrites, myelin sheath, everything is responsible for the behavior or activity. Let's see the structure of a neuron. So you have dendrites, you have cell body, you have axon, you have myelin sheath, you have movement of electrical impulses, terminal buttons, etc. So this dendrons, from this dendrons, the information will be moving to the cell body, and through the some axons will be having myelin sheath, and through the axon the movement of impulses will be there, and it will be going to the terminal buttons. So there is a fluid-filled space called synapse between the axon of the neuron and the receiving dendrite. So between the axon of the neuron and the receiving dendrite, what you are having? You are having a fluid space called synapse between the axon of the neuron and the receiving dendrite of the next neuron. Okay, each neuron will be connected by means of dendrites, and in between that you have a fluid-filled space. So enlargement of the axon endings of transmitting neurons called buttons containing neurotransmitter chemicals. These neurotransmitter chemicals are very much responsible for transmitting the information. Some neurotransmitters like epinephrine, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, everything will be acting as a neurotransmitter in transmitting the impulse channels of information. Synapse. Information transmitted through the body from one neuron to another neuron by means of fluid-filled space junction called synapse. Okay, the information from one neuron to another neuron it is transmitting means it is by means of synapse. The small space between the axon terminal of one neuron and the cell body of dendrite of another is called as synaptic cleft. So between one neuron axon terminal and the dendrite of another neuron, it is called as what? Synaptic cleft. So neurons conducting impulses towards the synapse are called presynaptic neurons, and those impulses away from are called postsynaptic neurons. Neurons conducting impulse towards the synapse. Towards the synapse, if the impulse is carried on, it is called as presynaptic neurons. And if the impulse is carried away from it, it is called as postsynaptic neurons. So a chemical called neurotransmitter is very, very important in transmitting the impulses through the synaptic cleft. So neurotransmitter is very, very playing a very important vital role. Okay, so let's see some of the neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters play an essential role in the human emotions or behavior. For example, serotonin is associated with the depression, dopamine is associated with schizophrenia, like mental conditions. Okay, so they are stored, these neurotransmitters are stored in the axon terminal of each neuron. So these neurotransmitters transmit the information from one neuron to other neuron through the synaptic cleft. So after the neurotransmitter has performed its function in the synapse, it either returns to the blood vessel or it will be inactivated by means of enzymes. So it either returns into the blood vessels for systemic circulation or it will be dissolved by the enzymes. The process of being stored for reuse is called reuptake. For sometimes the neurotransmitters can be stored and again whenever it is necessary it can be utilized. So that process is called as reuptake. Deficiency of neurotransmitter is also a problem. Excess of neurotransmitter is also a problem. For example, if the serotonin level is low, it can lead to depression. Okay. If dopamine is less, it can result in Parkinson's disease, like that and all. So some major neurotransmitters and their functions are given in the below table. Acetylcholine, it regulates the muscle movement and cognitive function. Cognitive means higher intelligence, okay, intelligence functioning. Then glutamate helps in memory process. Gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA, moderates eating, aggression and sleeping. Dopamine regulates movements and coordination, emotions and voluntary decision making ability. Deficiency of dopamine, as I have told earlier, lead to Parkinson's disease. Overproduction, as I have told earlier, can lead to schizophrenia. Serotonin regulates sleep, eating, mood and pain. Deficiency of serotonin can result in depression. Then endorphins. Endorphins are responsible for feelings of pain and pleasure. Okay, so acetylcholine, it regulates muscle movement and cognitive functioning. Glutamate helps in memory process. GABA, that is gamma aminobutyric acid, moderate eating, aggression and sleeping. Dopamine regulates movements and coordination, emotions and voluntary decision making ability. Deficiency of dopamine causes Parkinson's disease. Overproduction causes mental disorders like schizophrenia. Serotonin regulates sleep, eating, mood and pain. Endorphins reduces pain and pleasurable feelings. My next video will be on nervous system, that is sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, central nervous system, like, okay. Hope this video is clear for you all. This video might be little bit lengthy because I have to cover all the topics and I have to explain it detail also. So it might be lengthy but it will be very informative for you. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up, share and subscribe to Science Easy Tech channel. As I have told earlier, my previous videos link I have given in description box, suggested end card and iCard. You can watch our channel playlist BSc Nursing Psychology for more psychology related videos. Thank you friends. Keep supporting to Science Easy Tech channel.